Well, the one-loss Buckeyes face the two-loss Nebraska Cornhuskers. Nebraska coming off of a big loss against Indiana. The question is, do they have a chance to beat Ohio State after the Indiana drubbing? Now, I'm going to give you some thoughts on the game, some tendencies of Ohio State, and some things that I think we might be able to do to counter those things to give us a chance or an opportunity to be able to put up a fight in this game. I will have a score prediction at the end of the video, but first things first, if you're new here, please drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and let me know your score predictions down below. I'm curious to see what y'all say in terms of how you're feeling about this game going into Ohio State. I'm sure I'll see a myriad of different scores, wide-ranging scores, but let's go ahead and just dive into it a little bit. And I'm going to start with just the Ohio State offense real quick. And I just wanted to give, I did a film review yesterday on a lot of their concepts. But one of the things I want to do real quick is kind of give you an idea of what to expect from the Ohio State passing game here. So just in terms of how they utilize the field. Okay, so we see Will Howard here. One of the things that you'll notice is under pressure, right? 17.7% of the time, or 17% of his dropbacks, he is under pressure with a 39.1% completion percentage. And you see the PFF grades there, right? Not blitzed. When he has a clean pocket or not blitzed, you see 86.1, 86.4, when blitzed, 62.5, 62.1. So pressure is going to be important in this game, as it is in a lot of games. Now, let's just moving to what they like to do. So if you saw my film review yesterday, you'll understand that Ohio State loves to run the ball from a myriad of different looks, but they'll also run it out of very similar looks as well, and kind of run different blocking schemes off of it. It's a very complex run system that they have, and it all kind of works off each other, sets everything else up. It's kind of what I feel like Nebraska should kind of lean towards when talking about establishing their run game. But looking at the passing concept, with that being said, 41.1% of their dropbacks are play action, 58.9% are no play action. And you can see just how well they work off of that play action and that run, right? Almost an 80% completion percentage, 833 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And part of that's because they do use the run game exceptionally well to move the eyes of the defender and then of the defense in general. And they do that not only moving the eyes of them on pass plays, but on other run plays as well. Like I said, they bring different looks, different blocking, and stuff like that. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about right here. So I'm just going to pull this up for you, and it's just a short little clip of a couple plays that I saw. Now, they actually had a touchdown. This is against Oregon, and they actually had a touchdown on this play. On a play that looked just identical to this. It was the run the same way as this play is being run right here. But let me let this run forward just a little bit. So you see how they have the 3 guys lined up across in the backfield. Now they run it. Now you're going to watch 49 and 32 right here. Watch where they go. You got 49 taking the mic, and you have him taking the in-man in the line of scrimmage. He's going to run it right up through there. Okay. Now let's fast forward just a second. Now I want you to watch this. Now they have 2 pullers, right? Watch 82 and 11. Look where they go. So you have 11, in-man on line of scrimmage, 82, second level. Where's that run going? Same exact spot. Same exact spot it did before. Okay, that's kind of my point, right? So they're going to run very similar plays from different formations, or very similar runs from different formations, from different blocking schemes. So it's hard to key in on exactly what they want to do. But that right there is a hint of what they like to do a lot. You saw that left side run. That's important. That left side's important for them. I'll get to that in just a second when I get to their run game, though. Passing depth. Let's look at the passing depth a little bit. So you see here, they use the deep part of the field 9.1% of the time. Now, Ohio State is one of the top 5 teams in terms of yards per play, which was a topic of discussion this week. However, they don't do it all just explosive plays. It's a lot of underneath. Take what the defense gives you. You'll see Will Howard take his checkdowns a ton, right? You'll also see him miss some of his checkdowns, but most of the time, he's making a smart read. He's making the right read. He's letting his playmakers work in space and operate. So the medium part of the field, 10 to 19 yards. You can see right here, it's 88.8% with his average depth of target being 14. So it's on the, it's on the lesser side of that 10 to 19 range. So it just shows you he just likes to take what the defense gives. And then his average depth of target on the deep ball is 30.7. Usually that's set up pretty well, but no touchdowns, 1 interception, and 9 touchdowns, 1 interception on the medium. And you see the short game there, they run 40% of the time. So they run a short game a lot, the short passing game out of the flat. You're going to see tons of flat routes to the running backs, to the wide receivers, just them little, kind of just getting right out in space and kind of, or sitting down over the middle of the field. You're going to see a lot of that behind the line of scrimmage 20.7% of the time. So again, that's where they like to operate. Looking over at kind of the specific, parts of the field where they operate the best or where they like to, go the most is deep left of the field, 97.2. You can see there that that's 1.8% of the attempts. So three completions, 3 attempts, 3 dropbacks. Now moving over to what they utilize the most, the intermediate middle of the field, you see here at 11%. See the short center at 21%. Behind the line of scrimmage at 15%, short right at 11%. So you'll notice here we got a little bit of the middle of the field, short middle, intermediate middle, short right, behind the line of scrimmage middle, right? But they don't use the left part of the field too terribly much, which I'll tell you why in just a second. So moving over, let's go ahead and move over to the running attack, which is kind of where I'll build off of from this. So moving over to the rushing game. Now, if we look over here, rushing total, team total by direction, and you're going to notice that I sorted it by attempt, left end. So running off of the left end, 50 attempts, right? So they like to use that outside stretch, outside zone stretch look to really get outside. And so you'll notice the left side is used for the run, middle and right is a lot of use for the pass, right? They play off of each other. They're going to get you moving one direction. They're going to get the pocket rolling one direction. They're going to run it back this direction. And or they're going to fake a run this direction, move the pocket right, and they're going to have somebody rolled out or sit over the middle of the field, right? So it's just, everything's off of one another. So left in, left guard, so 50 attempts, 28 attempts. And we got right in, we got middle right, middle left, and then off the right guard, the right tackle, left tackle. So you kind of see here, but they do like to use that left side of the field a lot. Right here, you have yards per contact or yards after contact per attempt. So 2.8, 3.71, 4.21. So tackling is going to be very, very important here. And yards per attempt, 8.6 when they do run at the right side, off the right guard, 10.2. But the majority of the time, you'll see them hammering it left, okay, and setting up that right side of the field. So this kind of gives a little indication of kind of what we can expect, from their offense in total in terms of scheme, right? And one of the things that Oregon came into the Ohio State game, doing was they were, Oregon was doing a good job of tempo and really kind of, taking what the defense gave. And then they came into Ohio State and they just ran explosive plays, right? They really threw Ohio State off guard. They really threw Ohio State's defense off guard with that. So one thing that Nebraska's defense needs to be aware of with Ohio State's offense is they're going to really, the 3-3-5 is extra susceptible on the edges. Okay. And we're talking about the edges. We're talking about that left end, right? Running off that left end, running off that right end. So what Nebraska has to do is they have to have their fronts constantly changing, right? They have to have their pressures coming from different places where it's indistinguishable from the offense, because if the defense goes where the offense wants them to go, then they're going to be blocked, right? They're really good at combo blocking. They're really good at pulling. They're really good at the combo and getting to the second level when they need to, right? They understand blocking assignments. They know how to crash in the hole or crash out the hole and be able to align it up for the running back to get through. And, like I said, just very smart in terms of their complementary football fundamental techniques and stuff like that, and just understanding the concepts that they run. And so Nebraska's got to be ready to counter that. And by doing that, what Ohio State also likes to do, they like to run trips, right? And when you run trips, that you're getting some guys out of the box, right? You're keeping those guys out of the box, and then that puts a little extra strain on that, on those linebackers to be able to run. You got to have that safety down. You got box safety, strong safety down. What Iowa did a couple times is Iowa would come out and look like a cover two, either a cover 2 or cover 4 quarters look, and then they would have the safety kind of step down into the box, and they would rotate over to a cover 3 at the last second, right? And really kind of send that to that gap and fill that gap and kind of doing a myriad of those different looks. And our defensive communication has to be on point. Whenever there's a motion, they motion a ton. Whenever there's a motion, We need to be immediately communicating and understand who's on whose responsibilities where, because if our eyes get lost in this game, it's going to be a long game. So on the defensive side of the ball, that's what we can do is really just try to, continue to change up our fronts, change up our coverages, etc., and try to limit and keep everything in front of us as much as possible. But tackling is so important in this game because there were instances in these games, in these films I've watched of Ohio State where, one player, they break a tackle on one player, that's 25 yards. It's sometimes they set it up to where it's a one-on-one at the line of scrimmage and they trust their man to get that job done. So we're going to need our guys to be able to step up, and not only that, step up confidently, aggressively, and just react. Not be thinking, just be reacting and run on your football instincts. Now, moving over to our offensive side of the ball. Now, if we look at Ohio State's defense here, and I'll kind of pull them up on this team rankings here. And what you'll see with Ohio State, right, is they're defensively, it's one of those teams that they don't allow a lot of points for the most part. Oregon, of course, being the outlier there, but overall their defense has been pretty solid throughout. However, they do have a tendency, against Oregon, they were not able to get much pressure on Dylan Gabriel at all, right? So they didn't have much of a pass rush. They weren't forcing turnovers in that game. So it left a lot to be desired. And like I said, Oregon just kind of brought this game plan out that put them onto their heels. When they came out with, I think it was 25 or 20 plus yards, explosive plays, 8 for Oregon against them. Denzel Burke was getting burnt left and right. And I just think Oregon just kind of threw something at them that they just were not expecting. So Nebraska is going to need to try to change up their game plan, and hopefully this conversation around the run game over this week will be something that gives them, an opportunity to try to implement that in this week. And that they're going to have to, because for Ohio State's defense, there's a lot of talent on that defense. And although of the two, I'd say the defense is probably the weaker of the two. It's a very, very good defense that has a lot of talent, and that for them to not be good, or for them to not play really well, for Nebraska to have a chance in this, essentially, is they're going to have to find a way to keep them on their heels. That's the only way. Ohio State's defense, otherwise, if they pin their ears back, they're doing what they want to do, that's when they're really good. And Oregon got them on their heels. Illinois, week 3, got us on our heels. Indiana got us on our heels, right? This needs to be another step in the right direction for the defense. After the Illinois game, we saw we were running the 3-3-5. We had some hiccups with it. Coming out in the Rutgers game, that was the first time we saw 4 hands in the dirt, 4 down linemen, right? So what are we going to adjust defensively this time? What is Tony White going to do defensively this time to adjust and, see what we can do on the defensive side of the ball? And then what is Marcus Satterfield then going to do on the offensive side of the ball when talking about, I need to establish a run game? Well, now even more so, you're in a game where you want to limit as many possessions as possible from the opposing team. Time of possession is going to be very, very important in this game. And also, you're going to have to just try to find a way to put drives together, methodically wear it on the clock. But we saw with Oregon did get some explosive plays going. However, now Ohio State might be ready for that. Also, Nebraska doesn't have the athletes, the line that Oregon has as well. So that's another part of that. But just saying, that is where they were susceptible in that game. And in one area, they've probably cleaned that up. They saw the film on the explosive plays. They saw their deficiencies, and they probably cleaned that up. And so it's going to be very, very interesting to see the game plan that we come out with. And I feel like it has to look different at this point, right? We can't come out with that same offense after the talk of this week. Satterfield coming out and say what he said. We can't focus on kind of running that same concept. That there has to be something different out of, whether it be a lot or whether it be little, there has to be a focus on really trying to make that work. We can't just say, oh, we're going to, we don't feel like we can establish a run game, so we're going to continue to do this and we'll adjust it when necessary. No, it has to start this week. And hopefully we'll see that. Ohio State comes out in the pistol. They came out in, the pistol. Like I said, they come out in those 3 back sets. they're going to come out in so many different looks. They run bunch and then they'll motion over to ace, or they'll run trips, motion over to ace, run ace, motion over the trips. It's just constant movement, constant alignment, trying to get you out of position, trying to move people out of the box. It's manipulating the numbers to where they want you to be. And Nebraska's got to do a very, very good job of counting that. It's going to start today with the edge rushers, or Saturday with the edge rushers. Edge rushers are going to have to do their job, but also beware of the run. And it's going to be one of those things where Nash is going to have to try to occupy as many bodies as he can, draw double teams if he can. That way we can get people off of blocks. We're going to need as many people on our advantage as possible, because Ohio State can block very well, and they can block multiple people if they have to. So Nebraska has to be playing very downhill against that run game, but also be smart and not to play overly aggressive and get beat over the top. I honestly, until I see something from this offense, right, I have a hard time giving us more than 14 points. My initial prediction, let's go with that, was 41-14 earlier this week. You know, and part of me doesn't want to say Nebraska's going to lose 41-14 because, you know, of course, if they win, I'm going to feel dumb. But the thing about it is here, maybe they won't score 41, right? But I can't just give the offense more than 14 points right now until they show us something, and show us something different than what we saw last week, and show us something that can actually work at least to a decent degree, right? Nebraska had opportunities last week to score, and, you know, the score being what it was, it could have been a lot different. Nebraska probably would have won that game, but it would have been a lot different. And Ohio State this week, Nebraska needs to make sure that any opportunity that we have to score, we take advantage of that. Ohio State's got a really, really good red zone defense, and so we're going to have to be creative. And that has been something that's been lacking in recent weeks, not only the run game, but in the passing game. And it's something that we need to address, and it's something that needs to start right now. And I know a lot of us are close, you know, watching with one eye open this weekend against Ohio State. I kind of like this. I'd rather, you know, if we come off the Indiana game and we come out and we play UTEP, let's say it was UTEP this time, right, this week, I'm not feeling okay about that, right? Like, I want to immediately come out and be challenged and see how this team responds. And like I said, I still trust Rule. I love the players on this team. I think they're going to come out. I think they're going to battle. I think they're going to fight. But I just think Ohio State is a little too good at the end of the day. So I'm going to just stick with the 41-14. We'll see how it goes. I would love to be wrong in this instance. Trust me. So, but let me let me see your score predictions below. Like I said, just drop those and let me, you know, let's kind of see who can get the closest here. And I'll give a shout out to whoever gets the closest score prediction, and we'll roll from there. But with that being said, Saturday it is on. I will be here live for the post game right after the game. So y'all stay tuned for that. Like I said, subscribe, like, comment, let me know what you think, leave your score predictions. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video. Peace.